You are sitting in a perfectly climate-controlled room right now, aren't you? Or maybe you are sprawling on your comfortable bed, scrolling aimlessly through a glowing screen with a single finger, patiently waiting for a delivery driver to drop off a sweet iced latte. Look around your space. You are surrounded by solid walls, safe, quiet, completely predictable. It is a brilliant modern fortress specifically designed to keep the chaotic elements of nature far away from your delicate skin. Now, let us erase all of it. Turn off the air conditioning. Smash those painted walls into absolute dust. Strip away the very clothes on your back. Welcome to Africa, 300,000 years ago. A landscape. Dry, unforgiving, vast. There is no wireless internet connection here to save you. No weapons. You have no sharp claws to defend yourself. You possess no toxic venom in your veins. You are the absolute weakest, slowest, and most incredibly naked thing walking across this entire savage ecosystem, a walking meal, a tragedy waiting to happen. Do not let the absolute luxury of the 21st century trick your mind. That safe, predictable world you inhabit right now, it is nothing but a bizarre system glitch, a tiny, insignificant blink of an eye that makes up less than 1% of our entire human timeline. For the other 99% of history, human beings did not live to casually enjoy their weekends or find themselves. They lived simply to avoid being eaten. They booted up this evolutionary survival game on absolute nightmare mode. A spotted cheetah easily runs 3 times faster than them. A towering mammoth weighs hundreds of times more than them. They were pathetic. So how exactly did this happen? By what bizarre, unfathomable miracle did a completely naked, pathetically slow creature with absolutely no fangs rise up to become the undisputed master of this entire planet? I know what you are thinking right now. You think it was the invention of sharp spears and deadly tools, right? Do not be so foolish. The truth is far more deeply biological, and it starts with a completely disgusting mechanism hidden right under your skin. They absolutely could not outrun a simple grazing antelope in a 100-meter dash, but they simply did not need to. The human body internally possesses a biological cheat code that completely shattered the established rules of the animal kingdom. We have millions of tiny sweat glands, while every other furry, terrifying beast on Earth has to stop and pant aggressively to dump out their rising body heat. Humans simply do not. When a massive apex predator overheats under the brutal sun, it collapses instantly. It literally drops to the dusty dirt from fatal heatstroke after just a few short miles of intense sprinting. But ancient humans? They just keep running. They move slowly, deliberately, but they absolutely never stop. The terrified antelope sprints. Humans follow. The exhausted antelope rests. Humans inevitably appear, over and over again. This terrifying rhythmic cycle continues relentlessly across the burning plains until the exhausted prey literally collapses from sheer cardiovascular failure. They did not hunt their massive prey with blinding speed. They hunted with pure, inescapable despair. But walking across a blazing continent all day requires a massive amount of fuel, and that brings up a glaring biological contradiction. How does such a fragile, completely unimpressive body power, a massively overgrown brain that demands a staggering 20% of our daily caloric intake? You might logically assume the answer is locked deep inside our complex genetic code. It is not. The brilliant answer was found completely outside the human body. When our ancestors tossed a heavy slab of raw, bleeding meat into a roaring campfire, they accidentally invented a brilliant second stomach. The raging fire beautifully performed the heavy, exhausting lifting of biological digestion before the food ever touched their primitive mouths. It violently killed the deadly bacteria, broke down the tough muscle fibers, and instantly unlocked thousands of hidden, vital calories. Less time chewing, more energy absorbed. Their incredibly hungry brains physically grew larger. The terrifying, hungry beasts of the dark finally learned to deeply fear the flickering light. But here is the dirty little secret about human supremacy. You still think the absolute greatest weapon ever forged by humanity was the controlled flame or the wooden spear? You are dead wrong. It was our bizarre, unprecedented superpower to simply gossip with one another. Science academically calls this the cognitive revolution, the birth of pure, unadulterated fiction in the primate mind. A panicked monkey can loudly scream to its tribe to warn them about a hungry predator hidden in the tall grass. But only a human being can look at that exact same lion and fabricate an entirely fictional story. They can boldly claim that the lion is a majestic spirit of the ancestors, and we must immediately gather 500 warriors from different tribes to sacrifice it under the blood moon. Because of this wildly vivid imagination, they successfully connected millions of completely random strangers under one shared belief. No vicious wolf pack or giant lion pride in existence can ever organize a standing army of 1,000 distinct individuals. Humans easily can. They absolutely won the bloody war for this planet simply because they knew how to tell a significantly better story. They were totally unstoppable. They violently conquered every single continent on the globe. They hunted the absolute largest megafauna into total irreversible extinction. And then, roughly 10,000 years ago, everything spectacularly fell apart. It was not a giant, flaming asteroid that ruined their perfect hunter-gatherer lifestyle. It was not a world-ending, terrifying plague. It was a tiny, insignificant grain of wheat. We are universally taught in school that the grand agricultural revolution was our absolute greatest leap forward as a civilized species. What a brilliant, comforting lie. It was actually the most spectacular, devastating scam in the entire history of the world. Instead of wandering freely across vast, beautiful savannas with a wildly diverse and highly nutritious daily diet, they spent their days bent completely double under a scorching sun. They dug the dirt, they pulled the weeds, they suffered constantly. They lived in agonizing, perpetual fear of the changing weather. Their physical spines began to rapidly degenerate from the brutal, repetitive agricultural labor. Deadly, highly contagious diseases jumped from their newly domesticated livestock and violently ravaged their perfectly crowded, filthy settlements. They enthusiastically built massive, towering walls to protect their incredibly precious fields of grain, and without even remotely realizing it, they turned those very walls into a permanent cage that trapped their descendants forever. We absolutely pulled off the scientifically impossible. From pathetic, shivering apes hiding terrified in dark caves, we elevated ourselves into literal, undeniable gods who strictly dictate the life and death of this entire biosphere. But take a long, hard look at the staggering price we actually paid. Your physical body was meticulously designed over millions of agonizing years to hurl heavy spears at raging mammoths, but right now it is strapped tightly to a spinning office chair for 8 grueling hours a day. Your incredibly complex brain evolved perfectly to rapidly read the subtle, hidden tracks of wild animals in the forest dirt. But today, it is utterly exhausted from endlessly decoding passive-aggressive emails from your boss and scrolling past meaningless, toxic comments on the internet. We completely traded the eternal, breathtaking canopy of the starry night and our profound, primal freedom. We happily traded it all away for solid concrete boxes with wireless internet and a completely manufactured, fragile illusion of absolute safety. We conquered the entire Earth just to cage ourselves, willingly, forever.